Hello and welcome to Chess with Simon. I'm Simon. Today I'm out of the picture, quite literally out of the picture, which is probably for the best, and I've been replaced by the star of the show, Judith Polgar. This is Polgar versus Evgeny Bareev, 1992-93 Hastings tournament, played over the New Year. When I saw one of the final moves from this game on the front of New in Chess magazine, I just started crying uncontrollably. I was with my coach, who was a refugee from Serbia, and he kind of berated me. He was like, "Oh, you don't see, but I see this," and I was like, and the truth is, I didn't see, because actually, only working through it now do I really understand what happened in this game. But it was an amazing game, and you sort of get that feeling when someone scores an incredible goal in the World Cup, which is that maybe you've played football yourself, maybe you've had the ball at your feet, you've run towards the goal, you've seen it open up. You've gone to shoot, maybe you've connected beautifully and it's gone in the net, perhaps it spins off to the side, it doesn't really matter. You kind of know how that must feel, even though you've never scored a goal like that yourself. Well, most of you will never have scored a goal like that. I don't know, I don't want to prejudge. But this is an incredible creation. It's an incredible game, and it's kind of always stayed with me. So let's take a look at it. So it's in the French Rubenstein. So let's take a look at the first moves. e4, e6, so French, d5. White defends the pawn, knight c3. Knight f6 by black. So not yet announcing that black's going for the Rubenstein. White goes ahead and pins that knight. And now black takes on e4. So this is the Rubenstein French. So Bobby Fischer was the first one who I read saying this, but this is a general rule, which is often if you release the tension in the centre, it's often a slight negative for the person who releases the tension. So you should believe that the Rubenstein French is a little bit inferior, but it's really, really hard to demonstrate that because black's position is so solid, pieces are so harmonious, the pawn chains are so solid that it's hard for white to gain an advantage here. So let's take a look. White takes back on e4. Now black can't take that white knight because it's the knight's pinned against the queen. Black defends his knight on f6. White develops a piece again, black can't take, and then black goes to break the pin. So white's going to move the bishop to e3, but before doing that has to swap off this knight, otherwise the white knight would drop. So takes, bishop e3. Other moves are possible by white. I mean, actually, white can also take on f6. I think I tend to take on f6. Maybe that'll all change after looking at this game. But Judith played bishop e3. Bishop d6, developing that bishop to a nice active square. And this queen d3 is quite an original move. So this has actually only been played once in history, according to my database, by Judith. So it's interesting that other people didn't want to repeat this, because surely everyone would want to repeat this. Bareev played b6. Now, this isn't a bad move, but maybe slightly stores up trouble for the future. Maybe. The engine would slightly prefer to castle, but it's pretty close. b6. Knight e5. Bishop b7. Again, the engine wants to castle because after bishop b7, Judith's got this this queen check. So this is all pretty original stuff now. This queen check's a little bit awkward to meet, and I think the only really sensible way to meet it is through knight d7. Well, black can also play king f8, but you can't put the pawn in the way because it drops. You can't put the queen in the way because it drops to the knight. So retaining the right to castle, black plays knight d7. This was an important game, by the way, because this, by winning this game, Judith became joint winner of the tournament with Bareev. So there's a lot hanging on this game. Long castle by white. So this queen d3 move, I suspect the plan was to castle long, because by playing queen d3, she got the queen out of the way, allowing her to castle long. And once white castles long, you're looking at a very unbalanced fight, and very risky as well. We actually looked at a blitz tournament, and we looked at a Rubenstein French where white had castled long, and actually it all went horribly wrong. Black's attack was quicker than White's. So I'll put a link in the description actually if people are interested. But it was the Oxford County Chess Association Blitz. But two really strong players, the tournament winner and the guy who came fourth. And the guy who came fourth won, basically, because White castled queenside and it backfired. Anyway, Black's trying to achieve the same thing here. So a6, pushing the queen around, queen b3, then b5, trying to get these pawns moving. White plays a really smart move here. I really like this move, pawn c4. This is very counterintuitive because you're not meant to move the pawns in front of your king, or it's certainly frowned upon. But on this occasion, it's very clever because it actually makes White's king safer. So Black can't take because the bishop drops at the back. So Black's castled, which is sensible. White plays pawn f4, like really going for it, like basically defending that knight, but also moves like f4 are a statement of aggressive intent, really. Bishop e4, so now that pawn is hanging on c4 because the bishop's moved. So White locks the pawns, pawn c5 with tempo. Black chooses to retreat. I think taking the knight does feel risky because you're going to end up with a pawn on e5, and so it's going to be hard to start to defend the king. There's no knight f6 then. So bishop came back. Now this is a pawn sacrifice, and White would probably have had to have seen all the way to the end of the game at this point. So Judith would have had to see all the way to the end, or maybe not see every single variation, but just have a sense that this sacrifice is worth it, because Black can take here. But now White gets real compensation because rook hg1, this rook is looking right at the king, and also there's a tempo. The bishop's got to move, although now Black gains a tempo against White because the queen's got to move. But though the queen and bishop are threatening on that diagonal, I mean, it'd be better if they were swapped. You'd rather have the queen on d3, the bishop on c2, but still, they create threats, and Black doesn't like the threats, so Black's played f5. This now weakens a square g6, so the knight can come in for a fork. It's not a disastrous fork because it's hitting the rook and the bishop, but the rook can just move. Now, this is typical Judith, really, just playing for initiative. So, pawn c6, forcing that knight to move house. Knight goes back to f8. I mean, as a matter of fact, f6 would have been better for the knight. But it's pretty hard to see at this point. So Judith then retreats and puts that knight back on that beautiful e5 square. I mean, that knight is controlling so many squares there, and it's so important. Bishop h4 from Black. I wonder what this is doing. What do we think Black is trying to achieve with this bishop move? What do we reckon, guys? Be good to know what you think in the comments. I mean, it may just be trying to get it out of range of the knight, but actually, I suppose if Bareev's watching, we'd love to know from you, boss, you know, what the idea was there. Queen e2, or if people have ideas, please write in the comments. Queen e2, so queen f6, and actually already the engine can see the danger because queen h5. And already Black has a lot of problems, and actually that bishop's pretty awkward now on h4. So that the bishop move that didn't really make sense to me, that bishop's now pretty awkward. Bareev moves the rook away where it's not attacked by the queen, and then White's next move. So guess White's next move. You might know it, you might have a feeling for it. Please feel free to pause the video or have a think about it. But White's next move, and this is the position that reduced me to tears in the chess and bridge shop. Rook g7 check. What a move. It's absolutely fantastic. So this is really romantic chess, you know. This is old style, not technical chess. This is, you know, blood and thunder chess. So what's to do? So immediately what we see is that if the queen takes, the very minimum is that White can pin the queen. So here, White can pin the queen against the king. this way. Actually, that's not the best move. The best move is for the queen to take the bishop off here. But essentially, after the pin, although in material terms, you know, after the pin, black could take, and this looks fine in material terms. Actually, white has so much attack, and there's a bishop hanging on h4. You know, let's just try and save the bishop. Queen f7 check. And then the bishop gets picked off at the end. You know, the queen's rook in the corner is completely dead, and this is completely won for white. It's completely won. So queen takes is a problem. Queen takes h4 is the best, but there's rook g1 as well. So black tried king takes. Probably at this point, he's a good player, so he'll know. But he took rook g1 check. You know, everything comes with tempo. King h8, and then Judith's got this move. Everything's coming with check. Knight f7 check. King h7, and then knight takes pawn. And at this point, Bareev resigned, because if he takes here, check, king to the back, and rook g8 is checkmate. So what a stunning, beautiful combinational game of chess. And if you only have a few games of chess like this in your life, it's all been worth it. I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed sharing it with you, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Is Chewy in the room? Yeah, Chewy's in the room. He's asleep on the bed. But should we have a little? Should we see if we can have a little look at Chewy? Look, we get rid of Judith. We'll move Judith. We'll add the video camera. Come on. If you don't want to see Chewy, please just switch off now. Hang on. Here it is, look. Here's the camera. Look, I'm just doing this on the fly. Let's go and get Chewbacca. Come on. If we don't see him regularly, I get complaints. So, here's Chewbacca the dog. I hope you've enjoyed this, and we will look forward to seeing you next time. Don't we choose? Yes.